plea of no contest on February 21st to the offense of murder. You entered a plea of true to the enhancement. The court found the enhancement true based upon your plea of true to the enhancements in States Exhibits 1 and attachments. And the court found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court found you guilty.
Your Honor, he would like to allocate.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Fabian Baker.
All right, defense.
I believe he just wants to share with the court some few reports.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say that I know I took a lot that I can't get back, and I want to apologize to my victim's family for so much pain that I caused them and for their loss. And I regret everything I did. So emotional and stuff like that. I know I'm going to prison, and I would want to get myself right over there by getting my GED, because I never finished high school, take drug classes. I had a problem with drugs in the past, and take like parenting classes to better myself, to go home to be a good father to my son, and just go home clean and to be positive out there, and find myself in no more than situations like I'm in right now. And I ask that you show mercy on me, on the descendants, a wife and a son that need me out there, and I like to go back to them home as fast as I can.
Thank you. Mr. Vega, you stated when you were asked about this incident here, you said that in here it says, my neighbors told me them where I was, my name, and that I had tattoos. I tried to fight it with self-defense. So are you saying this is self-defense?
No, sir.
Okay, but so that's wrong in here, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you lie in here?
No,
Excuse me?
no, sir.
But it says self-defense here.
I was in fear of my life at that moment. I've been shot at, but he seemed proud in the past, so it was out of fear, I guess.
So do you feel that you had a right to kill that day?
No, sir. I feel like I should have handled the situation a lot like different. It was out of fear, I guess, like my reaction.
You know you didn't just, you killed one individual, but then you shot 3 individuals that day. You do realize that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that you were shooting into a park, Father Benavides Park. You're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
And there are people out there that you were randomly shooting at. You're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
And then you say a witness of yours backed out. Who was the witness?
My roommate, Caleb.
Caleb was willing to testify against you. You do realize that.
Yes, sir.
So how did he back out? Because he was going to tell the truth?
I don't know.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Vega.
Imagine having to listen to a guy plead for mercy after admitting he sprayed bullets into a public park like it was a video game, and then try to spin it as fear. Yet somehow, the only adult in the room stayed calm, asked sharp questions, and didn't roll their eyes even once. That level of patience, judgment, and self-control deserves more than a gavel. It deserves a standing ovation.
Yeah. Why does it take you going to prison for you to wake up and realize that you right what's right from wrong? I don't understand that. Like, why does it take going to prison for you to say, I'm going to get my GED, I'm going to be in my son's life, I'm going to be a good parent, I'm going to get off drugs? Because I'm looking at your history, and you've been in trouble with the law as a juvenile since 2013. And it started with graffiti at a church or a school, and you were on deferred for that for 6 months. And I know, because I've toured their facilities, I know they give you an opportunity for your GED and for you to do all of that and get your life on track. And then you pick up another case in 2014. Then you are in need of supervision in 2015. And then you have a possession in 2015 and evading in 2015. And this, what I'm talking about, is just your juvenile history. And it goes on and on and on. 2016, 2017, all juvenile. And then you have this incident out of Waco, where I'm assuming you went to TYC. I know they don't call it TYC anymore, but you went there. And it appears that you didn't learn anything. And then now we're here for this. And how old are you?
23.
All right, you're 23. And I know what young people think because I was in your position. When people get sentenced to go to prison and they're young, they think it's the end of the world for them. But time goes by so quickly. I can't believe how quickly this year is passing. And you still have a chance to improve your life. Like there's someone here who's dead. They're not, and I want you to think about this, they're not having graduations. If they were going to graduate, you can say, hey, that person was a horrible person too, or did horrible things. But guess what? They're not going to graduate. They're not going to see any grandchildren maybe they were going to have. They're not going to get a chance to improve themselves here on the planet because they're no longer with us. So there are many things that they won't be able to do. I don't understand why, if you have a child who's 6 years old, instead of doing this, why were you not spending as much time with them as you could? The witness tells me that you're very, very loving. Then a very loving person would be, I want to spend as much time with my son as I can because I've missed out so much on his life. I went through Child Protective Services, so I want to make sure my son doesn't go through that. I didn't have a good father, so I want to make sure my son has that. That's not so much about you knowing right from wrong. That's just like common. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The court will hear argument. His cap is 25 years. State, I'm assuming you're asking for 25?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And defense?
Our defense is asking for mercy, and we're asking for that in a situation where there's been a death, a murder, and that life can't be brought back. So there's nothing we can say.
It's honestly impressive how someone can rack up a rap sheet long enough to be its own biography before even hitting 24, and still act like they just now realized life has consequences. Meanwhile, the only person in the room making sense is calmly laying out years of bad choices like a highlight reel of wasted chances, all while somehow resisting the urge to slam the gavel through the table. That's not just being a judge, that's having the patience of a saint with the logic of a reality check wrapped in a robe.
To change that fact. This young man, having growing up without a father and mother, there's nothing we can do to change that either. This young man making poor choices, not being around his son as his son was growing up, and being rather with people who are involved in drugs and guns. There's nothing we can say to change that either. But we have heard from him. He knows that this is pretty much his last chance to turn his life around. He doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. So we are asking for mercy, Your Honor. He has explained what his plans and goals are to the court, being get his high school diploma so he can get a decent job out there, and take enough education and courses and therapy so that he's able to break his chains of addiction, Your Honor, and also learn to be a good parent to his son who's out there waiting for him, and his wife, Miss Brenda Torres, to be a good husband to his wife. We're asking for leniency from the court. Full knowledge that we can't change the fact that we're dealing with a murder here, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Vega, I want you to know at some point in time, our actions are our own. We can no longer blame it on the rough childhood we had, because a lot of people had a rough childhood. A lot of people had parents that were not in their lives. Some people had parents who were in their lives and shouldn't have been in their lives. But I do take in consideration when I hear that, because as a defense attorney, I used to always get upset when the state would say, well, this person didn't commit a murder and they had a rough life. I want you to know I look at people as individuals. You understand? All right. So I'm going to sentence you to 25 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. Take in consideration 2020 CR 6409, night mag number 68664 and 674688. That's the county court cause number 674688. I'll ask for you to have the therapeutic community you'll have to request that. That's to help you with any drug addictions that you may have. But if you don't request it, they're definitely not going to give it to you. And I can't make them.
It's almost poetic how the courtroom turned into a one-man TED Talk on personal accountability. And thank God for it. While the defense tried to remix every classic sob story into a pitch for pity, the one person with clarity reminded everyone that trauma isn't a free pass for murder. It's refreshing to hear someone in charge acknowledge past pain and still expect grown adults to grow up. When a judge can hand out both wisdom and a 25-year sentence in the same breath, that's real balance.